Hey, I'm Felissa Rose, and you're watching Keto and Crime.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Keto and Crime and Thought Crime. This is a absolute impromptu video. I was not expecting to do another one on Mr. McAfee so soon, but a friend of mine brought something to my attention that I wasn't that in depth on. I didn't follow Mr. McAfee that closely, so I did not know. And so I'm going to say that maybe I was wrong in my, probably was wrong in my perception on what happened. In my first video, I said I didn't think he was Epstein. I thought he probably was a suicide. But now, just like my opinion on Epstein changed, my opinion here has changed. Now, first of all, I want to preface that do I think John McAfee is a true American hero? No, I don't think he's a man of the people, but I think he had or was a man of the people. I think he, just like Epstein, in a way, he was all out for himself and all about being an opportunist. And that's fine. Looking out for yourself and your family is demonized a lot, and it shouldn't be. Everything McAfee did, except for the possible connection to a manslaughter in Belize, a murder in Belize. Everything he's done is pretty much on the up and up, barring the tax stuff. But we all know his opinion, and my opinion, on paying too much tax anyway. But I mean, I do. I don't run from my taxes, but I also don't have the money or the ability or the influence to run from my taxes. So I think he and Epstein were both a opportunist. Now his stuff was mostly legal, even the um, crypto speculation thing that he did, he that is legal. That's what we do with stocks every day. Why is crypto any different? So he sold that to people that didn't bother to do their own research and stuff. They just did it because McAfee said. So what he does, what he did there was perfectly legal. Is it moral? There's a fine line there. Legal does not mean moral. Moral does not always mean legal. Got to remember that. However, the same with Epstein. Epstein was all about enriching his own self, knowing what we know about him. But the difference between the two is that McAfee was the furthest thing from being in bed with the federal government, unlike Epstein, who I think, if that is investigated honestly, we're going to see a lot of higher ups tied into that thing. And I'm not getting into Q conspiracies or anything like that. I'm not a believer in Q. I think whoever was Q or is Q on HN was kind of a troll in a way. Uh, but and I think it was just a flashpoint of all of our different conspiracy theories. I'll put my link to my Q videos up there where I do a deep dive. But I don't believe in that cabal necessarily. And Epstein was hurting people that could not make decisions for themselves and were pretty defenseless in that he was taking advantage of children. Uh, McAfee only, I guess if you say he took advantage of adults that were perfectly capable of educating themselves on what they were buying. So those are the differences. Do I think McAfee's a true American hero? No, I think he is 100% an opportunist, just like anybody else that moves and breathes and is successful in society. I think they're an opportunist. But as I said before, taking care of yourself and taking care of your family shouldn't be demonized as long as you don't hurt other people. Now, we could have an all day philosophical argument about how he hurt other people, but then again, it comes back to personal responsibility. Whereas Epstein definitely hurting and taking advantage of people that could not take care of themselves. So that's the difference. And the fact that I think we're going to find Epstein is more in bed with I hate to use the term elites, but there's no other term. We're going to find that that's why if he was taken out by people wanting to hide their guilt. And the same here with McAfee. I think he was taken out by people that want to hide their guilt, but for two very different reasons. McAfee had dirt on people that he wasn't necessarily working with, whereas Epstein had dirt on people he was working with. So that's the difference. But this video is probably going to be demonetized because I've said Epstein probably more than Susan's quota will allow me to say it. But anyway, so we all know that McAfee was found dead in his cell in a Barcelona, Spain prison, uh, supposedly of a suicide. Details have yet to be released. But a friend of mine pointed me to several news articles and my own wife who told me don't ever make videos on libertarian icons without talking to me first because she's hardcore libertarian and she knows all the dink, whereas I come of it from kind of a layperson's thing. She said, you should have talked to me before you made that first video. So now that I'm educated, I'm going to make a rebuttal of that first video and correct myself. But so it appears that John McAfee, according to John McAfee, had several terabytes of information on high-ranking government officials. He has said many times that he does not imply our entire government is corrupt, but he does say it is corrupt to the point that no one is untouched by the corruption. And that's where he left it, which is a truly honest take. But he says that he is basically, in a number of tweets here, letting people know about government corruption and that he has been in contact with high-ranking people in the CIA and the FBI. He knows where the bodies are buried. He knows the skeletons, and pretty much I've seen tweets where he said that he just wants to be left alone. He's paid tens of millions of dollars in taxes and only received condensation of federal employees when I needed services. So basically he says that he doesn't mind paying the minimum amount of taxes that you're supposed to pay, but he wants his government services in return, and he hasn't been getting that. But he's been paying tens of millions of dollars in taxes and was not getting any services or help when he needed it. And I think we've all been in that same boat. So that's the reason for his stance on not wanting to pay those taxes. He had the money to pay those taxes. He wasn't sweating that, but he was fighting it out of principle. And then they got the extradition, and now he's dead. But I think the most telling thing is basically a tweet where he said that he has several terabytes of information that shows where the bodies are buried, quote unquote, that shows where the corruption lies. And if anyone ever tells you he committed suicide, he didn't. He's not a suicidal type of guy. And that's the one thing that didn't set right with me. As much as McAfee seemed to love life, I mean, his girlfriend was supposedly an assassin sent to take him out, and he convinced her to be his girlfriend. Dude was MacGyver. So I'm going to do a deep dive on McAfee. It'll be out in the next few weeks. So if you'd like to see that, let me know down below. Dude had no reason to kill himself. He would have gone, he would have faced his court trial at federal court, he would have paid the fines, he would have, I suppose the fact that he could have faced 30 years in prison might have been the biggest thing to him, but still, I think he would have worked out some sort of deal, unless he had dirt on the government that they didn't want released. And that's going to remain to be seen. He said if he ever dies, or people say he committed suicide, trust me, he didn't, is what he said. He said that this information will be released. And he had the technical know-how to make that happen. So it wouldn't be surprised me if we see a dossier pop up, with a whole lot of information that gets leaked. Is it authentic? That remains to be seen. And will it pop up? Also remains to be seen. But the fact that he literally said, if anyone ever says that I committed suicide, I didn't. And he's going to release all the information that he has on corrupt officials and CIA agents to the world if he's ever taken out. Well, we'll see soon if that information comes to fruition. So it'll be a very interesting thing to watch. So just as I amended my opinion on Epstein, I'm over here thinking that Epstein is actually still alive and just under a new identity. Honestly, that's what I think. Call me crazy. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but that's just my hunch. McAfee, I think he probably is dead. And that's the difference between the two. Epstein was turning on the people that he had once been in bed with, and McAfee has always kind of been their enemy. So McAfee's dead. Epstein, I think, is under a new identity somewhere. But McAfee, did he kill himself? I don't think so anymore. So it will remain to be seen what actually happened. And I'll be watching it with a whole lot of interest, doing a deep dive on McAfee, and I'll bring it to you as I get the information. And with that being said, I'm going to hop back over to what I was doing, and thank you for taking the time to listen to me. Till next time, Keto Krime.